Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's very special edition of the Best Practices webinar series. Today's title, Follow the Leaders, Part 1. I'll tell you more about Part 2 later, but we have a very special presentation today. We're going to be featuring 3 of the winners of the Top Transportation Teams Awards program. They won the awards earlier this year, and they were featured on a panel discussion in Reno a couple months ago, and we're bringing them here to hear some more, glean some more insights from them, what they did to build a great culture. Looking forward to that. We want you to make sure that you're paying attention because we want to hear your questions and any of your insights as well. Tony will share a little bit more about that. Tony who? Oh, I'm glad you asked. That's Antonio Civitella, the president and CEO of Transfinder. Tony, come on board. Welcome.
Good timing.
Thank you. So tell the folks a little bit about what's happening today.
Well, hey, our first best practice webinar today. So, and by the way, you're gonna sound a little crazy. You're thinking, I'm gonna wish everybody Happy New Year. Like Happy New Year. Well, I think most people in the world are thinking, are you insane? I don't know what calendar are you using, but the audience that we have, and of course, people in our panel, and completely understand that this is a new year. It's not January 1st, but it's a new year because it's a new school year. And whatever you did in the past, try to do those things that worked, and things that did not work, can you just cut that stuff out because it didn't work, and most likely it's not going to work this year. So I'm really excited. Again, we have a very strong panel here. We have 3 leaders that all 3 of them won the Top Transportation Teams Award. And by the way, join us on October 19th, where we're going to have 3 other panel that they're under 100 employees. So this is the group that is over 300 employees. So can't wait to hear all about things. And I'm hoping, take some notes. They want to make sure they win it again next year. So I just want to, they're going to share as much as they can, but they know don't share all the secret sauce. And then at that point, they're going to increase the competition. So they know that. Clearly, they're all-star and a lot of good things. I got to remind everybody, we do record these webinars, and they're going to be on our YouTube channel. So that way you can check things out. You can just go on transfinder.com and you'll see all those webinars. Rick, do we have all of them? Like even from 6-7 years ago? I mean, do we go that far back?
It feels like we've gone back that far, but yep, we have every one of them. And you know, there's probably little nuggets you can get from even the ones from the beginning of COVID.
You know, there's a lot of webinars we've done for, you know, even before COVID, of course. And it's not that we're running out of topics, but we'd love to hear from you. Like, give us some suggestions. What are things you should, you know, do you want to participate on these panels? So please send us email or let us know. Of course, you know, it's not like we're running out of content. We have tons of content, but it's always to know, we want to be relevant. We want to make sure we are doing things that people want to hear all about it. So, but listen, no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Rick DeRico. He's our Director of Public Relations here at Transfinder, and he is going to introduce everybody here today.
Great, thanks, Tony. By the way, I should tell you, Tony, I don't think I mentioned this to you. I actually got a couple of emails over the last couple of days from people saying they had like in-service training or whatever, and they were really disappointed about missing today. And they actually asked me, can I find this somewhere else? So I told them about the YouTube channel. So that was that was actually a first of people saying, I hate to miss this this discussion. So, okay, without further ado, let's welcome our panelists. And by the way, Tony is a panelist too, so he's definitely a leader in transportation. I'd like to welcome Anna Banner from Garland ISD in Texas, John Fergerson from Klein ISD, also in Texas, and Todd Livesay from Franklin Township Community Schools in Indiana. So welcome so much. Welcome to our panel. We're so glad you could join us. By the way, ironically, you folks are the ones that won the Top Transportation Teams Award in the over 100 employees category. So I can't say that I totally planned that. It just so happened that the date that worked best for you guys was this day, and the folks under 100 could do it on October 19th. So we'll have them back for that next panel. So thank you so much for joining us. I want to jump right in. First of all, I'm just going to go down the line with Anna, John, and Todd, and just tell me a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your career track, your role, and also about your district. Maybe something that kind of gives us a sense of, the enormity of it, since you guys are large districts. Maybe how many students transported. I don't know if you have number of routes, or I'm sure you do, or how many miles covered, anything like that. So I'm going to start with Anna, John, and then go to Todd. Welcome.
On the spotlight. Thank you so much. So Anna Banner, I'm the Director of Transportation for Garland ISD in Texas. And we transport about 19,000 kids currently, about 300 routes, have about 450 employees. We travel about 97 square miles. I've been in transportation. This is my 26th school opening.
Wow. How many school openings?
26.
That does not seem possible, but I'll take your word for it. All right, John.
All right, John Fergerson, Klein Independent School District here in Texas. We transport about 23,000 students, basically about 250 routes. 88 square miles is our district, and we're located in the greater Houston area, just to give you an idea kind of where we're at. And this is actually my second career. My first career was I spent 20 years in the United States Marine Corps. And I was kind of in the utilities type field when I was in the Marine Corps. And when I got out, I started in the maintenance world of public schools. And 3 years now, I've been the Director of Transportation here at Klein ISD, and it's been an amazing 3 years. And I wish I'd have got here sooner.
Great. Well, thank you, John. Thank you for your service. My nephew was a Marine. I shouldn't say was. My neighbor was a Marine too. He's had since passed, but said, Rick, never use the word was in Marine. You're always a Marine. So, John, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. And Todd.
Yes, my name is Todd Livesay, and I'm the director at Franklin Township Community School Corporation in Indianapolis. When I listen to how big these other schools are, we're very small compared to that, even though we're big. We only transport about 8,000 students a day to and from school. We have 94 buses and basically 94 three-tier routes when it's all said and done. Of course, we have buses running all day long with the middays and special needs and things like that. This is my 6th year opening school here. I have kind of a weird track to get here. I'm an all-in-one encompassing transportation person. First of all, I have a pilot's license, so I have that kind of background as far as safety and things like that. And then I was a railroader for about 10 years. I was a conductor and I was a yard master. Doing that really taught me about safety and logistics. And very fortunately, I was able to roll over into the student pupil transportation industry, which has been the most rewarding for sure. Really has a purpose, and work with just incredible people. I never thought I could enjoy working for a place where there's so much purpose and I'm doing so much good every day.
That is awesome. I think you're my first railroader as a panelist. It's neat. We've had several military people. It seems like that definitely seems conducive in terms of your and leadership skills that you learn. But it's just neat how all the different backgrounds that I've interviewed folks in your seat who it seems like any kind of role you have, you can use it. It can be, there's something beneficial that you can apply to that role as a transportation leader. So Bridget, by the way, I want to introduce Bridget Moore, who is running the back end of this. She's awesome and it's a huge help in making these run smoothly. So she's the person, I shouldn't say behind the curtain, because that kind of sounds like the Wizard of Oz. I don't think she wants to be behind the curtain. But Bridget, can you go through our slides real quickly? I wanted to do a little bit to give people a sense of what exactly the Top Transportation Teams Award looked like. This is Reno in July. And so we have, these people are not lined up exactly as we have here today. So the folks that we split them up here. But this is you can get a sense of who the winners were. New York and Texas definitely were the top states, and then we got Michigan and Indiana. And then Bridget, if you want to go to the next slide, I want to just go through each one of the folks that we have as panelists today. Anna said a lot of things, but I just thought this got right to, no pun intended, the heart of what we're talking about today. You know, with all my heart, I love my job. So, I mean, isn't that the dream that we all have? My brother always likes to say, like, if you like what you do, you never work a day in your life. And obviously, it's hard work what you do, but loving it is so important. Bridget, you can go to the next one. And this is John Fergerson. I'm just going to read these. I know you guys can read, but I have seen the team grow from a defeated department to a thriving team. I should note that the toptransportationteams.com website, I'm going to say this a few times, is live now as of like right this moment. We wanted to launch it during this webinar. So right now, I just got a text that it's officially live. So if you want to, number one, nominate your team, but number two, read fuller quotes, because I'm used to be a reporter and I really believe in context. So there's more to what Anna, John, and Todd said. You can click on, there's all these pictures, and then there's profiles of each one of the winners. And so you can get much more detail of what they had to say. Anyway, toptransportationteams.com. Okay, Bridget, and the next, oh, you did the next one for you, or way ahead of it. This team has a clear purpose to provide the best for our students. And then Todd had a lot more to say there about also being purpose driven. So really good stuff. Bridget, you want to go to the next slide? There it is. Here's another special quote. I am so glad my operation was named a top transportation team. Nobody said this yet, but they are an amazing group of people and deserve all the recognition for the work they do, said you, our attendee, who is watching this, but you have to nominate your team to be able to use those words in 2024 when you win the Top Transportation Teams Award. So you have to be in it to win it. So visit toptransportationteams.com to get started. All the details are there. So, and like Tony kind of alluded to, was it you, John, or somebody said yesterday during our dry run that they've been asked how they got to be a top transportation team and they didn't really give like the right answers because they didn't want to have more competition? John, was that you?
Yeah, I said it jokingly. I'm always here to help, and I want everybody to be successful. I want this industry to be successful. But there is a little bit of part of you that takes a lot of pride in knowing that that our district and our transportation team is a top transportation team.
Is that kind of like my mom not giving my wife that one ingredient in her spaghetti sauce? So it's just not quite as good as mom's.
That's right.
Tony's nodding his head. All right, next slide, please. All right, so we'll get right into it. First of all, let's talk a little bit about that. Anna, you mentioned this yesterday. You've been approached by districts actually talking about, I wanted to talk a little bit about, since you got the award, what's happened since? We're going to cover a lot of ground, things like what you did to build a great culture, but also what's happened since July when you took home this award. We saw the picture. So tell me a little bit about what's happened since, and then we'll get into what you did actually to build that great culture.
Well, for us, I think what happened first was the expectation that we had to really be on top of where we already were, right? And what are we going to do to open school for it to be the best yet? So the team really had a lot of pride in that. When I came back, they were excited. There was a board presentation. The drivers that were here were just super excited, and it really was our best school opening, and I attribute that to a lot of it to be, it's just because of the pride that they had in their work. So they were being recognized for what we were doing.
That's great. How about you, John?
Well, for us, after we won the award, we certainly came back with our head a little bit bigger than it was before we won the award as a team in general, and we plastered it on everything that we could put it on our website, on our email signatures. We even have it on the side of our buses now, advertising, that, hey, if you want to come drive a school bus, you might as well come drive for the top transportation team in North America. And so we've done all that. There's just been a sense of pride in the building. We just had a safety meeting last week, and just the excitement when we talked about how we were, when you say top transportation team, that's a big deal. But when you say top transportation team in North America, that's like an international award, you know, and I'm pretty sure that's the first one that Klein ISD's won internationally. And so it is a lot of pride that we brought back to the district, and it is an exciting, it's just excitement all around the board. And we also know that we can't stop with just, winning the award this year. We need to build on that and continue to be the top transportation team in North America.
You know, and it is truly North America, because this did go out to Canada as well. I kind of joke a little bit. So we're up in upstate New York, Albany, New York, and it was a little bit of a punchline at the time when Albany County Airport became Albany International Airport. And that was thanks because I think one plane flew to Canada once a week, I think, and they said it's international. It had to cross the into another country. So but this did actually go far and wide, much more than Albany International Airport at the time, which now truly is international. But it went far and wide throughout Canada, so you need to know that, and maybe even beyond that. Tony, did it go beyond that?
No, we did. We stopped. We went just U.S. and Canada, and of course it went to everybody. Remember, this is the first one, so I think not sure, people were not sure what it's all about. Now, of course, with you guys' actual success and how much you promoted it, I think we're going to have a lot more people want to be involved. And obviously, we're going to make sure we keep it tough and make sure we keep reminding everybody, go ahead and nominate. So we're going to be open up the nomination window shortly here. And of course, what we did promise that we're going to send everyone that actually participated last season. We want to give them a summary. That way you can say, hey, this is what happened last time. Maybe you could adjust some stuff. So that was something that we need to send that out. So stay tuned for that. Look for your email of some results. All right.
Todd, I want to get to you in 1 second, but Tony, you just said something that made me, I did want to follow up on something real quickly. Several years ago, Transfinder used to go for these awards, best places to work awards and top workplaces awards, and there were a couple times when we didn't get it. This is going back a ways now in my memory. And Tony went out and, he bought the report that came out. It was based on all the survey results. Now remember, the surveys are all anonymous, so it wasn't pinpointed to people, but it was about how do you do in HR, how do you do in culture, how do you do in benefits, all these different things. And Tony called a leadership meeting. We all sat around a table and literally went over that report. It was pretty thick. And then we said, okay, well, what is the low-hanging fruit? And then what are the things that we need to work for as long? So there's some things can be quicker, like we just need to hear more. We want more communication, where some of that you can implement right away. Some things take a little longer, as you probably have seen as well. So this report is really important, Tony, right? That you're putting together, that's going to go out to both the winners as well as those that were not winners. I don't want to say losers, but they were not winners.
And listen, there was a reason why we did this, and really it's what inspired me to make this available to everybody. And as a technology company, we're not in a technology hub. We're in upstate New York, which is not the technology hub. So we had to get creative to start to recruit people and also to retain them. So it's recruiting and retaining. And of course, we want the word to spread that we are a top place to work at. And so we started going after these awards, and then we started realizing why we're not. And then some things you can't really change, but there was some low-hanging fruit. So we were focusing on, we got to be able to do a better job, recruit, and of course, retain. And because of the issues with drivers, of course, past few years, it made me realize, well, we got to really help the industry to do the same thing we did, about 15 years ago. Do we win every year? Not every year. We don't win every year, but we know things that we need to make sure that, and it's just good practice. Yes, does that help to get an extra plaque, some hardware every year? Of course it does. But we want to make sure we are following best practices, because that's important. And I was telling the team here just before we went live, our service team is not allowed to take summer vacation. Think about that. You're for 9 weeks, they can't take it. They can take maybe 1 or 2 days. That's it. And they're told up front. So how the heck do you get a job and during the summertime, which by the way, we get snow up here. Can you imagine that you're working at a place you can't work, that you have to work during the summertime? And so these are the things that we have to create a culture that, and that's what we did. And I think it's where we're hoping, and it's already, I'm hearing all of you talk about what you did, and really, it's what you've been doing before the award, right? And it's not like as if they started something new. They've been doing this.
And if all those that nominated their teams and did the surveys, you're going to get a summary of the results, going to Tony's point, and be able to see what areas are we strong in. Just keep working and be even stronger. But what areas are we lacking in? There's benefit. I hate to sound goofy here, but there's gold in that there report. So you'll be getting that soon. So be on the lookout for that. Todd, I didn't forget you. Tell me a little bit about, you have a little bit of an interesting story too about when you got back from the award as well, but tell me what's been different since July.
Well, the good thing for us with the timing is we start school early here. So we start the first week of August. So there was really less than 2 weeks by the time I got back to our back to school meeting. And the pride in the team, they felt it. It was, of course, what we opened up our meeting with. I held that trophy up and I said, this is you guys. This is our culture. We are the best and we want to continue to be the best. Keep your bar high. Just because we got this award doesn't mean we don't want to do better and we can't do better. There's, of course, many things we can take pride in. The drivers and the monitors and the office staff and mechanics, they really took the award to heart. One of my favorite things is one of the drivers took it upon himself. He had a big banner made. We're going to be taking that through the homecoming parade this week. I wish I had that idea. I always say the best ideas come from the people that I work with, not from me. So listen to those people. I take all those ideas. So that trophy sits at our front foyer where people walk in, any parents, any prospective employees. That award is sitting on the shelf. That's the first thing they see before they even see a human being. So just echoing what Anna and John said, to be able to start the year with that kind of pride rolling right in, and they feel it, and they want to do better, and they want to send me back to Reno next year. So that'd be great.
Yeah, I should let everybody know. By the way, we didn't highlight this, but please know that your questions and comments, I'm monitoring these. So if anybody has a question, either for someone specifically or for the panel at large, put them in there. If you have just a comment like I agree, kudos, whatever. I'm watching him and I give shout out. So please be engaged, because this is all about all of us in this thing together. It's an experience, not just watching and passive. So Todd, you also had, because you guys won this award, you got approached by someone within the department, within your school district, to see what they can glean from you to apply in another department.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of part of it. I think transportation teams, a lot of times we think of ourselves, we're on this island, right? We're working independently. It's really important, I think, for all of us to understand that we are a part of the whole team of the school system. So yeah, I was approached by our custodial department actually, and we're gonna be doing some things. They want to know what we're doing here that will translate over for them. So I'm looking forward to working with them, and I hope the things that we've done here will help them as well, because what's good for them is good for us. And again, it's really working not only with the transportation team, but the team as a school district in general. So yeah, they've reached out to me, and I'm gonna be helping them out, and I'm gonna share everything I can with them and see what sticks.
Now you're like the expert. Isn't that awesome? Yeah, that's great. It is. It's great. I want to, by the way, I should know, Tony, you said something yesterday I thought was kind of funny during our dry run about, you weren't sure, like, you were wondering if we just happened to be lucky in I'll let you pick up where I just let off.
I tell you, when we did this, again, we were hoping that this was going to be somewhat okay. Was I expecting to fill the room at Reno like we did? I mean, I think it was over 450 lunches were served, and as you guys know, They had to put some aside for us because there was nothing left for us after the lunch. So we know at least 450 people that listen, were hearing what we had to say. But I tell you, when I called each one of you personally. Some of you I know more than others, of course, and did it cross my mind? Did they just get lucky? Of course, we didn't talk about, hey, what was your results and all that, because obviously it was all math. We just used simple math. We add up all the answers and all weighted the same, and we, numbers. Numbers are numbers. But I did question, like, are you guys that great, really? Are you just lucky? Did you just force everybody to sit at their computer and say, you better score high? It definitely crossed my mind. I'll be honest with you. And then when I talked to you, before Reno, it felt better. But when we're at Reno and you all had your answers and your feedback and the way you talk about your teams, really, like, wow, this is not a coincidence why these are the best transportation teams in the country right here. And I tell you, it definitely crossed my mind. Like, yeah, maybe they're. I actually glad that I even thought that.
And now I got it on tape here for everyone to watch from now on. But yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about, Todd, you're going to be talking to the custodial staff if you haven't already. Let's back up now and say, because this is what people really want to know. What did you do to build a top transportation team? What's involved in that? As I went through some of the surveys and I got quotes from all of you, some of you, among all 6 of you, the 6 of the winners, COVID did a number and really hurt morale. It took a while to come out of it. Others, COVID actually was a springboard. And so, everybody's different. You have different makeup on your team. So I just want to hear, from all of you. So I'm just going to start with Anna again, go back down to John and Todd. What you would say the key ingredients are to a top transportation team, to your culture, and if you have any anecdotes of things that you had to do, maybe things that you were doing that you had to change or add to or whatever. So Anna, what goes into being a top transportation team?
Well, I've only been in Garland for about a year. And so when I got here, I had to really change the way that the staff thought. So really digging into the culture of the staff first to say, what is it that you see? Where do you see yourselves going? Where do you want to be? And, where do you want to get to? So I met with each of them individually, then I met with them as a group to say, here's what I heard from the common ideas were this, and it was literally changing, the culture, John and I and Todd, we talk about, the turning of the lake that we had talked about earlier, like what is important that everybody sees. So once you get your staff on board with an idea, with the things that they think we need to improve upon, and then once they're on board, you transfer that over into the drivers and the monitors because they see us doing what we're supposed to be doing, making a great organization, and then they want to be part of that. And I'll be honest, some people don't want that, right? And they will leave because they don't want that, they don't like that culture, and that's fine. But here I call it being fluffy, right? I said that before in Reno, and that's what we want. We want to be fluffy, positive. We have a community to serve and campuses to serve, so that's what we do.
And you also are really big into just empowering. You use the word empowering to make decisions, take ownership. Tell me a little bit about how you get there.
I mean, that's what I was talking about for staff. Like, how do we make this happen? Because it can't be all my ideas. It's just like Todd, some of the best ideas don't come from me. They actually come from the staff. So I have probably 40 staff, and it's all about what are their ideas and how do they feel that we can make this better. So you really need to listen to your team. That's super important. Listen to what they say, listen to their ideas. You can't implement all of them, but just knowing that they are empowered to make decisions, empowered to speak to drivers and monitors, empowered to grow an organization inside our 53,000 student population. That has a sense of pride in that.
That's great. John.
So we're not a whole lot different than Anna. I've been here 2 years now. When I got here, things were a little bit of a mess, and you know, we're 45 drivers short, and morale is not very good. And so the biggest things that we started doing is looking for that low hanging fruit, like you mentioned earlier, Rick. And what are some things that we can change to that cost nothing and make a big impact on the culture? And so we started with those things first, and then we started working on the bigger problems. And you know, when it comes to the empowerment part of it, you know, because I think Todd and Anna both will agree that is a major part of how you build culture is if your team buys in, if your team feels that type of empowerment, that they can make decisions, and that they won't be ridiculed or prosecuted for their decision making. Sometimes, you know, in Klein ISD we call it failing forward. You know, sometimes you fail, but you got to keep moving forward, right? Okay, it didn't work, but let's try something else. Just because we failed, we're not going to give up. And when I think about empowerment, I think about this. I use experiences that I have from my entire life and all over the world, and I've heard these stories before, especially with Disney World and just how they do things. But my daughter was 5 years old. She had an ice cream cone. And as soon as she started eating the ice cream cone, it fell on the ground. It was ruined, and you know nothing's cheap in Disney World. And the custodian came up and asked her what was wrong, and wanted to make sure that she was taken care of and she was okay. And he leaves for a couple of seconds, and he comes back, and he's got this little card that says 1 free ice cream cone from any of the participating places at you know, Disney World. And when you think about that kind of empowerment, you think all the way down to the custodian level, how Disney World runs their organization and operation. And you know, we think that same way. Well, how can we empower our people? How can we give them that same kind of empowerment all the way down to the bus driver and the attendant? And we really do believe that that's how you build that culture. You know, it starts with being kind. It starts with empowering your people. It starts with believing that you are the top transportation team, right? You have to have that mindset. You have to believe that as well. And I think that's served us well here at Klein.
Were you thinking that even before you got the award? Like, you know what, we're nominating ourselves. Were you starting to already think we're going to act like a top transportation team?
Absolutely. To be honest, when my boss every year I have to submit to my boss like accomplishments that our team has made, or accomplishments that individuals within our team have made, those kinds of things. I have to submit all those different things. And I told him, I said, we haven't won the top transportation team award yet, but we'll know in June. And I feel confident and comfortable that we're going to add that to our resume as well. And I was excited when we did, but I expected it as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You know, going to the
No, I was going to say I did the same thing in a board report. So you say all your accomplishments, this is where we're going, and oh, by the way, I've nominated us for this. So, you know, be on the lookout.
I absolutely love it. You know, the Disney thing is a good one. We went to Disney many years ago with our kids, and just the way they treated people from top to bottom. And we got back home, and there's like an ice cream place in our area. It's a bread and butter place. It's called Stewart's, or other places. And every once in a while, I'd be with my kids, and how we were treated by somebody. Like this one guy, I remember I went in with a half gallon of ice cream, of vanilla ice cream, and a bottle of root beer. And the guy just said, I think you have a root beer float in your future. Just a little comment. So we walked out, and it was funny. I told my daughter, I'm like, he was Disney, wasn't he? She goes, Disney. And then we started calling people like Disney, not Disney, you know? And am I looking at my phone? Am I not getting any service? No one's really giving me interaction, or am I Disney, you know? And actually, I'm going to do a shameless plug for Transfinder, because I think we're bringing back our annual client summit in next spring. And I will tell you, I do think we are Disney in all the right ways. So very good, John. I want to get back to something you did later, which is pretty hardcore about your culture as well. But I'll get to you in a second, little tease there. Todd, How about you? What does it take to build a culture, and what are the key components there?
Well, I think the first thing on culture is to realize that we're dealing with people, and all three of us, all of these departments have many, many people. Every personality is different. You can't manage everyone the same way. What John and Anna and I do, technically, our job is to, we're held to the task of making sure the students get to and from school safely. But I can assure you, all three of us, the main thing we really do all day, day in and day out, is deal with people and manage people, and that's really what it's all about. Here, I noticed when I first came here, we had and we still do, and this is really where the strength of this department builds. Our office staff is incredible. I learned everything from them. I listened, I watched, all those things, and the same thing goes with our garage staff. I listened to those people. I sucked in all the information I could, and then I made tweaks based on their information, their feedback. Another thing that does not work, and it was the way, this is the way it was before I came here, is the corporal punishment type of management. Bus drivers, just like myself, bus aides, mechanics, we all make mistakes every day. Not every mistake needs to have a write-up and a firing and a public shaming. Let's retrain, let's correct it. Like John said, let's try some stuff, see what works. A lot of stuff's just going to fail, and I've tried I assure you, I've tried far more things that failed than have worked. But it really is about trusting your team, which thankfully I've always been able to do. Put your trust in those drivers, put your trust in those aides, empower them. Don't micromanage. Don't tell them every little thing. Let them manage their own area, and that's really the strength of us. I have the greatest team, from the drivers to the aides, the office staff to the mechanics. Having that team, and they know that they can trust me, and I will have their back. Even if I don't agree, and even when somebody's done something wrong, I'm just going to have their back anyway. They know that I'm here for them in that way. And I think that's really the strength of the culture, but it's all about the people. And then, as Anna and John says, sometimes you got to let go of some people, even if you don't have enough staff, and make sure you get the right people in here. It goes even from the first job interview. Usually our job interviews are very long. We make them feel a part of the team right away. We give them a tour of the building, tour of the bus lot, all those things. When they leave this building after a job interview, they already feel a part of it. So that's a lot of it too. Just getting the right people in here.
That's pretty good. At the job interview, is that thorough that you actually get a sense of, and it also helps them to self-select, right? And I don't think I want these people work way too hard, or
Right.
whatever. But you know what? That's great. Hey, we'd rather have you. Thanks. Hope good luck wherever you go. But that's good. Tony, you look like you're nodding your head, so I'm getting to know how to read you after all these years.
Well, it's the feedback, right? It's the feedback. And really, feedback is great. We all love great feedback, but sometimes the truth hurts too. And it does. And I could tell you from my own experience that when we did, again, we're doing this all the time. And one of the feedback that we got, again, from when we do, and we do several of these a year, we do, and everybody knows about it. And we're open. We did the best we could to get everyone ready to do the best on the survey. But I have one from many years ago, and a simple one, right? This is like a feedback that was actually negative to the leadership, right? We are the leaders, so therefore you want to hear things. And it was just like, again, these are not favorable remarks toward the leaders. And someone, again, it's all anonymous, someone said that efforts by individuals are rarely praised by the top leadership, right? That was a feedback. Asking Tony to personally give a pat on the back to individuals after they completed an important project will go a long way. Like, are you kidding me? Wow. Sometimes, we forget that kind of stuff, right? Just to say, great job, and it comes from you. What a big difference. Like, oh man, right? That kind of stuff that really hit me hard. It's like, so I started doing, like, every time there's a birthday, I send an email to the entire company, these are today's birthdays or their anniversary. And I realized it's work. And by the way, once you start doing these things, you better keep it up. But what a big,
Yeah.
I mean, a simple thing. Get yourself a database of everyone's birthday. And of course, if you have our software, it can tell you whose birthday it is today. And then send an email. And by the way, you could even automate some of that stuff. And if you want to know that, you could, call service. But those go a long way. And I got to tell you, it's like it hit me like right now. It's like, what? You got to do, I'm not doing that? Oh, no. Again, there was a lot harder ones, but I'm just bringing these things out that there's so many low-hanging fruits. Honestly, I got to put myself in the staff's shoes. Like, you do want the leader to recognize. Listen, you can't recognize that all of you and some of you have hundreds of employees, of course. How do you know every one of them? You got to do your best. And of course, everybody wants to get recognized. They all do it. They probably deserve it, right?
Oh, yeah. This year we created, the squishy buses has GISD on it. And you know how Jeeps get ducked, right? So we took that idea. We got a squishy bus with a bus tag on it and it says you've been busted for being awesome. And then we sign it. And so we go put it out on their bus seats and we'll take a picture of it and we tweet it out, put it on Facebook, put it out in an email. Look who's been busted. And they actually have really gotten into this year.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Somebody else? John, I want to get into something you brought up yesterday I thought was really interesting about, I think it was you that spoke about communication. There wasn't were you the one that talked about the safety meeting and bringing
Yes,
everybody to one location?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so, something that we've heard for a couple of years from our department is just about the communication aspect from it, about hearing things from one voice and hearing the same message every time. And so, we try to listen to what's important to people and try to look for different ways to do that. And in the past, because we do have so many people and we don't have a large enough space for everybody, we host a safety meeting once a month. And in those safety meetings, we talk about hot topics in the last month of just things that drivers and attendants and mechanics need to hear and, to keep in the forefront. And we also use that time to pass along pertinent information that's important. But the problem is that when you have a large organization like we have, not everybody hears that same message because you have to do each of your, like we divide our drivers up, supervisors based on which high school that they drive for. So, we have 5 high schools, and so they all drive for different supervisors based on whatever that high school is. And we do our safety meetings that same way. So one high school will have a safety meeting on Monday, and the next set of drivers will have it on Tuesday and Wednesday and so on. And then those supervisors may have a different topic that the other ones don't hear, or there might be some questions during the safety meeting that the other groups don't hear, and then they find out about it later on and well, we didn't know we were doing that. It's just the communication part. There was some breakdown there. So what we did this year, and it's costing us a little bit of money because we're busing everybody and it's more time on the clock and all that, but we have secured some space at a larger facility away from where we're at, and we're getting all 300 of our bus drivers together in one location and having our safety meeting once a month with the same voice, the same answers, the same questions and everything. We've only done it once last month, or this month that we're in right now. September was our first safety meeting of the year, but the feedback has been tremendous, and I really think it's going to be a great thing no matter what the cost is. It's going to be well worth it once we get to May, the end of the year, knowing that they all have the same message.
Yeah, not having that miscommunication when you tell person A and then person A tells person B, the whole telephone game we talked a little bit about yesterday. Sometimes things don't get translated exactly as it was meant to be. But there's also, and so Ann, I know you mentioned 70 buildings plus, I think. No, it's impossible to get everybody, but so Zoom might be one way to do things. And also sometimes there are distinctions at the school. So this is like a safety meeting. So you obviously want everybody to hear the same thing, but then there are sometimes different cultural things maybe going on at the different buildings where it makes sense to have the separate as well. Anna or Todd, either one of you guys want to jump on that part?
Well, our 71 campuses, so that's with campus personnel, because once you get your buy-in with your staff and the drivers and monitors, you also need buy-in from the entire district. So that's how we're doing it is, hey, we're doing this. We want you to be our guinea pig, if you will. We want you to pilot this idea. So that's how we are reaching out to them through Zoom, just saying, hey, we want to pilot this idea. What do you think? And get them involved as well. So we're just kind of doing it all together, same message.
Okay. Todd, any thoughts?
For us, what we've been doing this year is we're having a safe meeting, which we have a junior high and 2 intermediate schools that everybody drives for. So I have 3 meetings, the same back-to-back Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, once a month. I lead that meeting, I do the presentation, everything. So it's basically the same information every time, but also is able to hit some of the specifics on those individual schools at the same time. And John's exactly right, though, too. If you can get all of your people together, we try to do that once a semester, too, which is, that isn't quite an undertaking, John. That is amazing you do that, because even with the amount of people I have, it's very, very difficult to get that done. But at least having all the people together once a month, same person presenting, same person answering the questions, the leader, so to speak, is telling you what you need to know and giving you the answer from the top down. So not hearing misinformation in the break room, or I heard this from this driver, we do it this way. I heard this from this school, we do it this way. If they have any questions, they can ask the right person and get the right answer. And by the way, I might not know the right answer at the time. So I'm happy they know that I will find the right answer and get it out to them.
That's great. Now, one other thing, just going into the communication piece and just building camaraderie. Todd, I think you mentioned you're providing an opportunity for your routers to go through a certification process. Were you talking about that a little bit yesterday?
I am. I'm providing that opportunity. So we're starting, I've actually been working with we started this process actually just a couple of weeks ago, but I'm gonna make sure all of our routers, I'm very fortunate. I have 4 routers here, and every single one of them is gonna be completely certified on all the Transfinder products that we use. Especially with COVID, we started with Transfinder before COVID. And so kind of that transition into working at home and Zoom trainings and all the webinars, all that stuff, that's been a little bit of a challenge for us, because nothing beats the real thing, just standing in front of somebody. So they're all going to go through the individual certifications. So we know for sure they have the right information on how to use all those tools to maximize efficiency. And most importantly, on most of the Transfinder stuff for me is maximizing that communication.
So one of the things I think that's great about that, obviously, we have so many tools, education tools, videos, just documentation, courses, full courses. But anytime like you're investing in your staff, in helping them to go to the next level, I think it really sends a message. You're taking me off of my day job to focus on that. It actually says, wow, you really care about me and my development. Anna, you look like you're nodding your head. So anything you want to add to that?
Oh, anytime I see anything that has to do with training, whether it's Transfinder related or like the TSD conference that's coming up, right? I'm sending it out to them saying, hey, do you want to go? Even my mechanics, right? Hey, do you want to go? Let me help you. I'm very fortunate where I'm able to pay for their classes. I don't pay for their time, but it shows that an investment in them, and they know that I'm serious and we are serious in helping them grow where they want to be.
Very good. John, anything you want to add?
Oh, well, absolutely. That's how you build your culture as well, right? I mean, you surround yourself by the best people. And how do you get the best people? You provide them with the best training and the best opportunities. And Klein does that as well as the other people on this panel do it, because it's important. It's important to invest in your people, and it's important to your organization that you're trying to, if you want to be the best transportation top transportation team, you have to invest time as well. Sometimes it's time, sometimes it's money.
Well, Tony wrote a note the other day. It comes from, I believe it comes from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, about sharpening your saw, right? I don't know if you guys have heard that expression, but you know, sometimes you got to stop and actually sharpen your saw to get more work done than just keep working with this dull blade. And but I got to work. I got to keep working. It's like, well, you got to sharpen your saw, you know? And so, yes, you're taking time away. We talk about that with like a training meeting or a sales meeting. That, yeah, maybe you're not doing the actual task, but you're going to be better when you get back to that task and better equipped to do it more effectively and efficiently.
It's the same thing when your staff is sick, right? Like they feel like they need to come in, but you say self-care, right? Self-care, go home, take care of yourself, because when you come back, you're going to be better for us, you're going to be better for the team than if you were here being sick. So it's, investing in your team, but also knowing that there's a personal life outside of there too, where they're not going to be shamed if they have to do something is important.
Yes, I have a question from Kimberly, and then I want to get to our poll. So we
I just answered Kimberly.
okay.
Because, obviously, they could go.
Why don't you read it? Why don't you read it, and then we'll ask the panel.
Kimberly wants to know where do you find out about training opportunities? So Kimberly, I was just listening and all that, so I'm not sure if you are a client of ours, you could go to community.transfinder.com. That's where you can get certification, all the training opportunities. And a lot of them, by the way, doesn't cost you anything. There's so much training up there that's free free. So I don't want you to think there's always going to be a charge there. So if you are a client, go to community.transfinder.com. It's a site where our clients have an account. They go there to see all the recordings and so much up there. There's thousands of hours of videos and documentation. And by the way, the certification, Todd, I'm sure your team is going through that because it's a self-paced test. And at the end, you go through it and you get a test and you get it certified. And by the way, it's not just the routing software. You can now be certified on Stop Finder, report writing. There's a lot. I mean, I've seen some people send us email and they have tons of badges on their email signature. So a lot of things. And
Anna, you mentioned TSD. I'm sorry, Tony. I didn't mean to cut you off.
More right there. Oh, Kimberly did get certified and she got a T-shirt. All right. Very
cool.
Kimberly.
Okay, Kimberly, you need to send an email to mystory@transfinder.com with a picture of the T-shirt and you. Anna, John, Todd, anything else? Just quickly, I want to get to this poll because it's a really important point that John raised yesterday. I want to get to it. But any other you said TSD, any other places you guys go for any kind of training opportunities?
Well, there's a ton of conferences out there. TASBO, right? Sorry, John, didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
TASBO's good. Yep. John?
Yeah, well, and I was just going to say the same things Anna said, just because we're both in Texas, but Texas Association of School Business Officials, which is TASBO, our local, our statewide organization, TAPT, Texas Association of Pupil Transportation, all of those offer things throughout the year to get different kinds of training, whether it's transportation related or accounts payable related or payroll related or just it doesn't, all those local state organizations offer all that different kind of training. Ours does it really well, I think. In the Houston area, our Region Service Center, which covers the Houston region, they offer all kinds of different trainings as well. So if you tap into those different organizations that your state offers, that's probably the main place to get the different kind of trainings that you need to improve your transportation department.
I need to make sure I give a shout out to NSTA. You got NASDIPS, NAPT, STN. Obviously, we mentioned lots. Todd, anything else that we're missing here?
It's the same stuff in Indiana. We have an Indiana Association of Pupil Transportation. They put on a conference every year. We always participate. We send people to that. Obviously, STN, we send people. We're very lucky because they do an STN in Indianapolis as well. So we've sent people there. There's also NAPT, which I go to. I think it's important too for ourselves to get continuing education. Matter of fact, I'm going to be at the Indiana Association for School Business Officials Thursday and Friday of this week. None of us can ever stop learning, so that's real important.
That's great. Now we're going to go real quickly here because we're at the bottom of the funnel here. But I do want to say for Transfinder folks, there's also obviously the annual client summit, which I mentioned earlier, and that's April 28th through May 1st in San Antonio. Okay, John, yesterday you said this, like I'm going to quote you word for word. I hope you don't mind. Bridget, you can put the poll up and I'm going to ask the panelists. Something that has worked for us in order to build morale and help us win this award is we got rid of a lot of dead weight, even when it didn't feel like it was going to be a good thing. 2 years ago, we were 42 drivers short. That's 14%. But we didn't let it stop us from getting rid of those that didn't need to be there. So you're the first one to talk about this. I got to tell you, I've done many of these panel discussions. In the middle of a driver shortage, I think some people may be shocked by this. I'd love to have people comment on that in our questions here, but I'm going to go Anna and then Todd, because I know where you already are, John. You can obviously jump in. But here's the question for those of you on. Again, we're getting close to the end here. Would you fire a driver based on performance here if they hurt morale? Yes, I would, even if we're short drivers. Yes, but only if I didn't have a driver shortage. That's a key. No, I can't afford to lose a single driver. I'm just going to still keep them in the bank here because we need them. And no, I would just keep trying to work with that driver and hopefully they're going to change. So please punch in your answers there. And Anna, your thoughts on this?
I would say as long as you've done your due diligence and you are training the driver, everything's documented, my answer would be yes, even if I was short drivers.
Because
that hurts your outside morale. You're trying to build a culture of being the best transportation, and you can't do that if you have worms in your apples.
Ah, very good. Okay, how about you, Todd? And then Bridget, I think maybe 20 more seconds and then we can move it back. Todd?
Yes, even if we're short of drivers. Driver performance, we're talking about the taking students, children to and from school. If they're not performing, they're not going to be good for morale. Other people will see them not performing and pick up their bad habits. To me, you just got it's like a disease. You can't let it infiltrate.
Very good. John, anything you want to add?
Yeah, and just to add on to that, you know, because we have done that, and we're currently we'll do that today and we'll do it tomorrow if that's what it needs. We never want anybody to lose their job or any of those kind of things. But we also know that our other employees see those kind of things that are going on, and what it helped us with is the retention part of it. Those people that were disgruntled because they didn't think that we cared, that we were doing the right thing, or that rules matter. You know, they're following the rules, but the rules don't really matter because we're not enforcing them to the other people. And so when we started saying, well, we're going to enforce these rules are important. You're important, but so are the rules. They're important as well. It started making a difference for our organization, and our retention numbers started, even though we lost people, our numbers on just regular resignations and retention grew as a result of that.
Outstanding. That's great. Bridget, can you show us the poll results and share them with us?
Sure. So hopefully you can see them. 48% said yes, I would, even if short drivers. 41% said no, they would keep trying to work with the driver. 14% they can't afford to lose a single driver, and 3% yes, but only if they didn't have a driver shortage.
All right, so 51% they would do it, but only, between either driver shortage or not, and then with the driver shortage, if that wasn't an issue. All right, we'll move on to the next slide. We're gonna wrap up. I'm sorry, go ahead. Someone say something?
Just to add to that, Rick, because I know it's a crazy idea out there sometimes, and when I seen those numbers, I can see why people would think that, but I think it's important to note that 2 years ago I was 48 drivers short. Yesterday I was completely full. Like I'm not short one driver, and it does make a difference to morale.
That was important. I'm really glad you brought that up. Yes. So sometimes it may seem like you're, cutting your nose despite your face, however that expression goes. But really, in the end, it has a payoff. It's just long-term thinking. You must have had the support of your leadership in your district, I'm sure, to help pull that. Guys, I hate to cut you out because normally I like to go around with the last minute, but we're at 12:30. I just want to, anybody who's on, if you have a story, please share it with us at mystory@transfinder.com. This is whether you're a Transfinder client or not. We call this best practices because we really want to call the best what's happening throughout the country and share those so that everybody can keep doing their jobs better and serving our kids really is what it comes down to better. Next slide, please, Bridget. Next month, October 19th, exactly a month from today, but it'll be on a Thursday. It'll be Follow the Leaders Part 2. They have a tough act to follow with you guys, but they're the smaller districts, so maybe there's not as much expected. I'm just kidding. Donna, if you're listening. We're going to follow up with the top transportation teams, again, getting more insights. And so please mark your calendars. That's it for today. I want to again thank all of our attendees for sure. And I want to thank our panelists for giving us your time. We know how busy you are. And just want to hope you all have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have fun, guys. Good luck.